The psychology of a dominant submissive relationship, not just a sexual relationship, but an overall dominant submissive masculine feminine dynamic in a relationship. It works like this. Throughout a woman's life, she's going to adopt a lot of social programming. And that social program is going to be important. It's going to be important because those are going to be the things that protect her. Those social programming, these social programming is going to be what helps her protect herself from men who want to take advantage of her. It's going to help protect herself from being in bad positions where she's going to be hurt and misused and mistreated. That's important, right? That's important. A woman needs that up until the point that she reaches meeting a man who she's willing to trade her social programming in for his program. Really, that's what submission is. Submission is when a woman trades her social programming for your program. As a man, you have a program. As a man, you aren't meant to just accept and to adopt the views of the current society and say that that is how you want to live your life and what you believe and how you want to do things. As a man, you develop your own belief system, you develop your own program, you develop your own ideology in the way that you view life. And when you encounter a woman, a woman who you allow to be your wife, a woman who you allow to be your woman, a woman who you allow to share life with you, is a woman who adopts your beliefs, who adopts your system, your program. But your program is often going to be, in some ways, diametrically opposed to her social programming. So, this is important to understand. Now, this is why desire is important. When you can't just necessarily only use logic to get a woman to shift from her social programming to your program. Desire and respect are going to play a big part in that. You know, Desire and respect are going to play a big part in that because when you have your program, you have the way you like to do things, your ideology, the way that you view life. You can't necessarily go through a woman's mind first just to say, okay, cool, well, this is the logic of this and this is the logic of that. Because often it's going to go one ear and out the other because social programming is so deeply rooted in a woman to where her convictions are wrapped around it, her emotions are wrapped around it, how she reacts and responds and views life and scenarios and how things work is going to be, it's going to be contingent upon her social programming. That's her ideology. Oftentimes it's going to include her religious beliefs, it's going to include the things she was taught growing up, it's going to include her experiences, it's going to include the advice that she was given by friends and family and the advice that was given to her, from coaches or dating coaches or whatever it is. And this advice that was given her is going to be the system by which she decides that she wants to live her life in order to make sure that it works and runs smoothly. The issue with this is this: in life, anytime you have a relationship, you're eventually going to reach a fork in the road. And when you reach a fork in the road, you have but so many options. One option is that you can follow her, which would lead her not to respect you because as much as she agrees with and believes in her social programming, her natural femininity that's within herself is not going to respect a man who's willing to follow her lead in a relationship. She may respect you as a person, but she's not going to respect you as a man, and it's going to hurt her desire for you, probably hurt her sexual desire for you, unless she fully adopts a masculine mindset to where she wants a man who's feminine and then she decides that she wants to be a dom. Now, these are things that do happen. There are people who have those type of relationships. That's what it looks like D Wade has with Gabrielle Union, but as a man, you don't want to do that because your children will pay the price for it. Your children will pay the price for it. And, I'm not someone who believes that it's wrong to be gay. I don't believe that it's wrong to be gay. I don't think that it's something that's wrong or that it's evil. Not at all. I think that some people do have a natural inclination towards that, and that having an issue with people having a natural inclination towards that is not going to help. And even if it's not a natural inclination, then guess what? Being mean or being abrasive towards those people and judging them for their desires isn't going to help because judging people for their desires does not get rid of those desires. It just strengthens the taboo that makes that desire greater. But what I'm saying is this: When you are a man and you don't stand as a man, you don't take your place, and then you allow a woman to be the primary figure of strength, the figurehead of strength in front of your children, what happens is that the men, the boys, are going to see her as the pillar of strength, and they're going to say that because she is the strongest one I see, I want to be like her. That's what premature integration comes from. That's one of the sources. Another thing that can happen is the girls will say, well, you know, she will say, well, I want somebody who's strong like this because she's the strongest one around. So I want someone who's strong in this type of way. And I don't think a man can be that for me. So I want this woman. And that's something that can happen a lot when it comes to just premature integration in relationships. Like I say, some people probably do have natural inclinations towards being homosexual. But a lot of the times, these things come about through what you view in your childhood, what boundaries are allowed to be there to help you avoid being in situations where you're taken advantage of sexually at a young age, or the type of dynamic you observe between your parents, and the type of encouragement that you have to be within your own natural gender's energy, right? Your natural sex's energy. That's a big thing. But let me go back, but what I'm saying is that when you don't take your place as a man, your children will often pay the cost for it. So as we look forward into these type of scenarios, you know, a woman is going to be in her feminine energy with you when you're a masculine man. But what often happens is a woman may come across a man who she may desire, she may love him, she may respect him as a person, but she may not respect him as a man. And because her desire level isn't high enough on a sexual side, and because her respect isn't high enough for him, and she isn't receptive fully to his masculine energy, what will often happen is that she will have a lot of resistance towards his program. She'll have a lot of resistance towards his ideology, and she just won't agree with it. And she will have her reasons as to why. But given the right circumstances, a man whose perspective is even less reasonable, she may submit to that for a period of time. So, what we need to understand is that this is a big reason why I emphasize the biology first approach. You give yourself the opportunity to go through a woman's body, to have her experience things that she didn't know that she wanted to experience, or that she wanted to but wasn't able to on her own. And when you give a woman that type of experience, what it does is it opens up her mind to the fact that you can present her something that she didn't know about or didn't experience ahead of time, and you can lead her into an experience that will be pleasurable and positive for her, and that you know what to do afterwards. And when you present a woman with that experience, it's going to make it a lot easier for her to walk into something without fully understanding it. And then from that place, by walking into it being feminine, being submissive, and saying, okay, I want this person more than I want my own way, then after this particular thing happens, then you can begin to explain your ideology to a woman. You can begin to assimilate her, and she can assimilate herself into your program. And then she adopts your views, she adopts your mindset. And if you have life's work, if you pass away, then she can carry on your work. If you're not around, she can express your views for you to someone else in a way where it's clear and it's understood. If there are things that are outside of the realm of just what you say, she can follow your belief system to its logical conclusion and understand it in a way to where even if you're not present, she still believes and adopts some of those views, right? Submissiveness is about a woman assimilating from her social programming into a man's program, and submitting herself to that and submitting herself to that man. So there's a lot of different things that come along with this that people often don't think about. There's a lot of details that go with it that it makes things difficult when you date somebody in a particular way, which is a big reason why I emphasize the biology first approach. It isn't all about sex. Sex plays a big part. I love sex. There have been people who accuse me of being a sex addict. I don't think so, because I've been able to turn down sex right in the face of it, because I didn't like a woman's energy. She didn't feel feminine and submissive enough for me, so I just got up and left. I've done that before. I've done that on multiple occasions. I just get up and leave. I don't like your energy. I'm up out of here. Respect is more important than sex to me. But a big thing to understand is that for a woman, as a man, just trying to speak the language of being logical is often not going to reach her. This is why there's a lot of issues when it comes to communication between men and women, because women often come from an emotional point of view. And it's not that it has no logic to it, and it's not that it's completely emotional, it's just about how she feels. And for a man, it's about what he thinks, his convictions within his belief system, his convictions between how he thinks things should work. And when two people are trying to both impose their will of how they think things should be, then this is where the fork in the road comes. The fork in the road is either we're going to part ways because we want to have our own way. One of us is going to follow the other person, or we're going to stay stagnant. If you follow a woman's lead, she's not going to respect you. If she follows yours, then she's going to respect you, right? But after she follows yours, that's when you think about the things that she needs. You think about the things that are beneficial to her. And as a man, if you love that woman, then you make certain sacrifices to make sure that her needs are met, right? And if you stay stagnant for too long, then she still may not respect you because you're not making forward movement. She may feel that you care too much about her, much more than you care about your own way of doing things. So you're staying stuck and stagnant in a place to where you're not making forward movement. So these are just some things to understand. This is why there should be a chain of command. This is why there should be a hierarchy when it comes to how relationships work, because all things that take forward movement, they require a certain chain of command. If you're on a plane, there's a pilot, there may be a co-pilot, but that co-pilot isn't the pilot. If you're on a boat, there's a captain. You know what I mean? If you're on a football team, there's there's a quarterback, there's a team captain. These things are important because when push comes to shove, someone needs to make the final decision. And if someone is being insubordinate, if someone doesn't, trust or believe in what they're doing, or they put wanting to do things their own way over the betterment of the overall situation, then what will often happen is that if you go into needing to do something that requires forward movement, you go into something where you have to not only deal with the dynamic between the two of you, but the two of you versus the world. Then if you're easily split apart, then the world will tear your shit apart. The world will tear your relationship apart. And this is why certain things require certain hierarchies. There's a certain accountability of how things work, right? And this is why, like, let's say you're a dojo, you're a sensei in a dojo, how respect looks between a sensei and a student isn't the same as how respect looks between a student and a sensei. Sometimes a sensei needs to dish out certain repercussions, certain levels of discipline, but a lot of times this comes because the sensei has already spent time developing his ideas. He's already spent time working on the things that he teaches. He's already spent time mastering these things, so that he's already disciplined himself in these different things, so that when he presents it to his student, he knows different steps of the process that need to be done in order for that student to excel in his program, in his particular style, in his particular art. And you as a man need to view your relationship with a woman the same way. A woman submitting is a matter of her replacing her social programming with your program. And if she doesn't, then you're walking together as friends. And the reason why I don't believe in starting relationships from the perspective of being friends is because as friends, you're putting a woman into a position where she's growing, where she already feels entitled to you being emotionally empathetic, sympathetic, and understanding. Friendship is something to where you can more so agree to disagree. Friendship is something to where a masculine feminine dynamic and sexual attraction isn't a factor. And the thing is this: once sex becomes involved when you're dealing with a woman, even if you feel like she is a great friend, something that will often happen is that once sex becomes involved, that woman will deal with you according to how attracted she is to you and how masculine she views you. That's going to be what determines how she reacts to you and how she handles you and how she deals with you. And this is one reason why a lot of women aren't a fan of having sex with their friends. It's not really because the man will mess it up. A lot of the times it's because a woman knows that, based off of how masculine you are internally, she knows that she is not going to be able to maintain treating you with the same level of consistency or the same level of care once sex becomes a part of the picture. So oftentimes what a woman will do is she will want to keep her friends as just her friends, because by keeping it like that, it keeps her from exposing herself from the lack of respect and desire that she has for you as a man. And those aren't things that are necessary in a friendship. But that's just how things often tend to work. So, this is just Brody Dharma. Submissiveness is about a woman trading her social program for a man's program.